patch 6.1 arrives, here's a bunch of the bigger changes and some of the smaller ones too. First up, Kislev finally got a bit of a rework, namely with the court and orthodoxy mechanic. It's still about gathering supporters, but you gotta do it kind of evenly to avoid any negative effects. You gather support through the usual means of buildings, tech and skill points, and every time you level that up, you will get a boon point to spend on these rewards down below, which offer all sorts of buffs to your army, to your campaign. So yeah, overall, a much more rewarding system. If you want to get into this in a bit more detail, I do have a separate video all about the Kislev rework. I will link that at the end. A couple of other larger changes. Devotion is no longer its own separate currency. It is now just your public order or control. But it also still acts like a bit of a currency, tying in with your invocations, which are now on both your settlements and on your armies as separate sets. So a pretty interesting way to turn public order into an actual spendable currency. And just for another one of the coolest bigger changes to atamans this time, if you have an ataman in your province, that will allow the garrison armies to be able to come out and attack nearby enemy armies. So another really nice different mechanic, certainly making Kislev much more interesting. There's a bunch of other stuff as well. Like I said, I've got a full video of this, link it at the end. Let's move on. Also getting a bit of love this patch is your favourite birdman Kairos. First of all, he's got a couple of new traits to spice him up a bit, improving the barrier and some cooldown on all the spells. But more interestingly, he's got this new fragments of sorcery mechanic, allowing him to basically build your own magic lore book of 8 different magic laws. You start off with just 2 slots and you'll unlock a new one every 5 levels, and you can then customize each of the spells in that particular slot, starting off with the more weaker spells, getting up to the stronger spells in those higher slots. So yeah, really nice new mechanic for all you Kairos Big Bird enjoyers, allowing you to make the magic lorebook of your dreams, to an extent anyway. Like I say, it's not all magic in the game, it's just 8 certain lorebooks: death, metal, fire, life, a lot of the best ones basically, so pretty banging. Kairos also got a little love in his skill points to help support this new system, so overall as a lord he should be a little bit more fun and unique to play. There was also some tweaks to the buildings of Tzeentch as well, pretty much lowering the requirements for some of the heroes and units. For example, the Cultist used to be a tier 3 unit, now it's tier 2. Some of the other sorcerers were tier 4, now they're tier 3. The same with the Chaos Warrior Halberds. A bunch of others like that as well, so overall the Tzeentch roster coming more available a little bit earlier. A nice bit of love for the Tzeentch faction this update. New units have also arrived, one for Cathay, the Nangao... What are they fucking called? Grenadiers? Grenadiers? I don't fucking know. The Nangao Grenadiers. As you can imagine, these ladies are designed for one thing: blowing the crap out of stuff. Their grenade is okay, it's not super damaging, but it's more disruptive than anything. But what their grenade lacks in power, it makes up for in quantity, because they have a lot of ammunition, 16. Normally these kind of units only have like 2 or 3 ammunition, so a lot of potential damage output if you can use those grenades well. It says they're a decent melee combatant, but I think it's being a bit generous with the word decent. Their melee stats are pretty much on par with Clanrat Shield, so not terrible, but not much to write home about either. However, they do also have a spicy bonus of their own unique activatable ability, Heaven's Flash, which will reduce enemy melee defense and melee attack, really solidifying them as more of a support unit than anything else. Overall though, pretty nice for blowing up hordes of infantry, especially lighter infantry, but do be a bit careful with them because they will not hesitate to blow up your own boys in the name of blowing up the enemy. So a good little unit if you can make use of that ammo. It can be a bit difficult because their range is so short, they need to kind of expose themselves to danger a little bit, and because they're not that good in melee, they can kind of get snuffed out pretty easily. Just like the other new unit, Noblar Flingers for the Ogre Kingdoms. They are, as you may have guessed, Noblars with a sling weapon, so a long-range missile attack, and also, as you may have guessed, yes, they are absolutely shit. They're basically something akin to Skaven Slave Slingers, so absolutely dreadful in the melee. They do have a pretty good range on their missile attack, but it's not that strong. However, for the price, you can't really complain too much. They're going to be a good harassing unit just to be there and to be annoying and to be something that the enemy has to do something about. So useful enough as a cheap, expendable, harassing, problematic unit, and now you can really complete your dream of a full Noblar army. Next, just another one tying into Kislev. Mother Ostankia now has the option to leave for Kislev. Getting away from nasty old Nagoroth, she's become one of those lords with 2 options on where she can start her campaign. If you do go back to Kislev, you'll be in Plesk in the Eastern Oblast. To claim your first province there, you will have to take out the Garamatni tribe, or whatever the hell they're called, and then you're going to be faced with God knows what coming from the north. Archaon might come from there, maybe the Chaos Dwarfs will come around, maybe the Demons of Chaos will come and get you. So some new challenges to face for Mother Ostankia anyway, and gives you almost a new feeling lord. And best of all, you don't have to be near any elves now, thank God. And lastly, just a few smaller bits, one involving Zhao Ming, as the Stone Shattered tribe have now moved in this little province from the start of the campaign, so Zhao's got some ogres to deal with early on, but hey, it's not all bad because you can hire those ogres as mercenaries, so a little bit of a bonus for Zhao before he has to wipe them out anyway. There's also a change to the UI and how the abilities are displayed on the main unit card. The little symbols for the abilities are all now side by side rather than overlapped over the top of each other, making it difficult to pick out any one ability. You had to find like the tiniest little bit to make the tooltip pop up, but now it's much easier, much cleaner. Nice. And apparently there's been some improvement to cav turning speed for some factions, although it's barely noticeable, to be honest. On the right you're seeing the new 6.1 cav turning. It does seem to be slightly better, but it's got to be like milliseconds in it, so it's not really that much of an improvement. I hope this will get better because cav does feel quite sluggish at the moment. So there we go, that's most of the bigger changes coming with 6.1. There is of course loads of fixes and balancing as well. Apparently the fire at will bug has been somewhat sorted, but it might still be a problem, the patch notes say, so we'll have to see. I can't say I've noticed any problems with it from what I've played, but doesn't mean it's not there. Otherwise, I hope you've enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Here's that Kistler video if you want to know more about the rework. I will see you in the future.